Hey everyone, Chris of Coalition Gaming here. We're going to be moving my brother's AMD FX system from this old outdated case to the Raidmax Magnus. We're going to be reviewing this case. Stay with me. So this case, it's kind of an old case. It definitely has an older design style from past gen stuff, but it was heavily built around airflow, thus the HAF, high airflow. And well, it served my brother well, but it's time to move on. You guys may see this in an upcoming video, as I do plan on keeping it and possibly doing something else with it. So keep your eyes out for that, but it's time to move it over to the Raidmax Magnus. Yeah. Life. Always love looking at it. All right, so let's talk aesthetics on the case now that the build is complete. I gotta say, I really do like the look of it overall. It at first gave me a Cosmos C700P feel, but it does stand alone with its own look, no handles or anything like that. The front of the case, this brushed aluminum look, I really like that. That's a really nice look for the case, although it is a bit worrisome in terms of airflow because, well, you have all this being covered, and that's where the fans need to do their work. These vertical slats that are here should be enough, I think, because they're all the way through and they breathe through those slats. Unfortunately, there's no front fan filter. There's no mesh inside these slats or anything, but it does give you a lot of airflow. So I guess take that however you can, because that's all it's breathing. Up top, we have a large power button, reset button, and your headphone jack, your microphone jack, as well as two USB 3.0 ports and a USB 2.0 port. Nice thing with here is that they light up. All of this lights up pretty decently, but the way that the USB ports light up is actually kind of nice. Right behind them, we have this big fat mesh grill, and it's nice that it's there, and you just take the top off if you want to clean it. Unfortunately, it's integrated. You can't just take this grill out to clean it if it gets dusty. You do have to take the top off, but in order to take the top off, you gotta take the front off. So there are some downsides to the design, but it feels nice. It has a lot of airflow, and you'll get some dust filtration, so that's pretty cool. The back glass, that is a very preferential thing. Some people will like it, some people won't. If you're kind of like me and you're not a big fan of spending a lot of time on wire management, I do a lot of builds, it does take a lot of time, then you may not like the back glass. But if you really like showing off your work, it's really nice, because I mean, if you have it set up really well, it just shows how good you are at that aspect of it. And you know, you can show off some really nice wire management, so there's that. So following with the trend, this case does have an integrated vertical GPU adapter right here, but unfortunately, it is the kind that puts your GPU a bit too close to the glass, so unless you're doing water cooling, I wouldn't recommend it. Overall, the color scheme, the design and all that, I like it. It's really slick aesthetics, sort of has a Stormtrooper, even maybe Captain Phasma thing going on because of the shinier part up front. And especially with the LEDs that my brother's system has in here, the crucial ballistics tracer RAM, it has a really cool look to it. I don't know. The front glass, I gotta say, it's displaying so much. You almost get an aquarium look with it because you just have everything on display. It's not like some other cases that sort of cut off how much is being shown from the sides or from the bottom. You get to see everything in there. And if you don't really fill up the case, in this case, you could also see that there's a lot of empty space. It could work for or against you, but it is what it is, and the way that it looks with this glass panel is just really nice. I do have to talk about the mounting though. It is 2018, it's almost 2019. Raidmax is still using the screw-on type, which, you know, it's sort of take it or leave it. A lot of the cases nowadays are going to like some sort of clip design or something like that. This is still like the classic mounting mechanism, and it's like that on the front and the back. If you were somebody that is a bit of OCD when it comes to this sort of stuff and you wanted just a flat look, it might not be the case for you. But if you don't mind this, then it's great. So the build process, the internals of the case. It is a full tower, so that grants you a lot of freedom in building, and there's a lot of space inside. It's easy to build in as a result. However, I do have to say this, because of how you may or may not mount your fans, you probably want to put the front fans in before you put anything else in, because as you can see in this one, we mounted the fans in the front of the case, or I guess you could say the outside, because the hard drive cage, the way that it is, the hard drive cage blocks mounting the third fan down at the bottom. It's just weird design, I guess. But if you aren't using a 3.5-inch drive and you're only using SSDs, you can use the SSD bracket that's integrated into the back of the case, and then take the cage out and you can mount all your fans on the inside. Also, if you're running a radiator up front, you can just pull that cage out and you have all your water cooling space that you could need, push-pull fans, all that stuff. On top of the drive cage, there is a pump mount or a reservoir mount, depending on how you have your setup. So it's kind of nice that they include this, because in that big open space on top of the hard drive cage, you can mount yourself a really big reservoir in there, and it'll fill up that space. It'll look really good if you're water cooling. And if you are taking the cage out, there are screw holes under where the cage is that mount can still be used on. So just because you take the cage out doesn't mean you lose the bracket. You still get to use it. An interesting design choice, I guess, if you can put it that way, is that the area where the power supply is, the shroud, sort of what it is, it's not really covered on the visible side. So you're not going to want a lot of mess down there, because you could see it. It is extra long, so if you have one of those high wattage extra long power supplies, you're good. But there isn't a cover there. So if you wanted to hide it, or if it's just not something you wanted to show, if it was a different color, it didn't match, anything like that, you may not like it in that case. There are threaded holes along that. I think maybe Raidmax might be planning to release a cover for it, but as it is out of the box, that's what you get. Something else that would have been nice to see is grommets in the cutouts on the inside. You can see the wires running to the back of the case from the front, and it's fine, but grommets would have hid that a bit better, and it would have been nice to see that included on there. Still gets the job done, but you know, grommets are always nice. What can you say? So we went with 6 120mm fans. You can do 2 140s in the top and 2 140s in the front, as well as a 140 in the back. But we went with this kit from Arctic. They're the F12 PWM PST. It's really nice for wire management, because you can daisy chain them and they all will move to the PWM signal of the motherboard. So that's really nice. They're quiet, which is one of the things I like the most about them. And you can get a 5-pack for like 30 bucks. So if you guys want to check those out, that'll be linked in the description below. And in this case, they match. It's got the white thing, black and white thing going on, just like the case. And they help me fill it in really good, and they move a lot of air. That's really nice with the fan setup on this one. So still talking about the internals on the case, it does support up to full ATX motherboards, which is an interesting choice considering it's a full tower. I was thinking it could support eATX, but it doesn't. Interesting choice there, but I guess most people nowadays aren't really using eATX. Take that or leave it. It works in this case, so we're happy with it. And Raidmax advertises this as a gaming server. So it is full tower, that meaning a lot of full towers are server size. At least in the old days, everybody would associate a full tower with a server. But I haven't really heard of a server that can only hold 2 3.5-inch hard drives, so that's an interesting design choice. So overall, really nice and slick package, but there is something that is to be said about the wire management in this case. It is sort of a standout on this one because it has the back glass. You're gonna wanna do a good job with your wire management. Raidmax includes Velcro straps, and all the mounting points are sort of doubled up. So you have doubled up mounting points. You can run the straps across both the wires in between them and then wrap them together. And it actually, this is probably one of my best wire management jobs that I've done. And it was relatively simple because of the way that Raidmax has the mounting points, and with the included Velcro, it was great. It still needed a few zip ties, not a big deal. But overall, like, I gotta say that that's one shining thing about this case is wire management, even for having back glass, is really easy, really nice. And overall is just pretty good to go with. At $89.99, the case is pretty solid, I gotta say. But there are some things here that I really do appreciate included with the case. There is a bracket that if it doesn't include the PCIe riser cable, all right, but it does have a bracket to hold it down in place that will be mounted in there. That's a nice inclusion, but more importantly, it does come with an RGB fan in the rear, just a single RGB fan. This could be, you can expand it into a full kit. Raidmax sells the full kit of these RGB fans. That'll be linked in the description below. But also, you get this addressable RGB fan hub that can hold up to 8 fans on it and control them. And you can control them either through hardware or through software. So you have options with it. Mounts back here somewhere. It has the screw hole mounts right on it, so it's not like something you have to deal with like double-sided tape or something. You can actually mount this. It's integrated, or well, you can make it integrated. And it's just a nice inclusion because addressable RGB fan controllers can be kind of tricky to pick out, and Raidmax just gives you one with this case, so that's nice. And that does it. This is the Raidmax Magnus. Should be out by the end of this month, or by the time you're seeing this video, might already be out. $89.99, linked in the description below. I gotta say, overall, again, I'm really happy with the case, minus the few little things, but to each their own. And it's a terrible peel by me. That's the good peel sound.
It looks like a booger or something. It looks disgusting. Oh, you ruined it.
Ow! My knuckle.
Oh my gosh.
This one's
Industrial thing.
wasteful.
Let's fill up my SD card. Just tell me you pull this plastic out.
Finally. Would soak. Recording? If you guys liked this video or found it helpful, consider subscribing, hit that thumbs up button, and all our social medias are linked in the description below. Make sure you check us out there, join our Discord, we can talk some tech. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.